Hello everybody, welcome back to Gecko Tech and Gaming. Today, we've got a new keyboard to look at. This is the Pulsar Xboard MS. I've been using this for about a month now. You can see there's a decent bit of wear. They actually sent this to me for review, which is super cool. Very nice of them. But there's no strings attached. I'm not getting paid. They don't see the script or the video before you guys do, so this will be just my honest opinion on how I like this keyboard. And I will tell you up front, if there was a personification of overkill, this has a little bit of overkill to it. It's pretty useful, but yes, it goes overboard on certain things, which could be what you want. This is a all plastic case here, as you can see on the back. No aluminum, no metal anywhere. So it doesn't have that premium feel that you would get from other cases that have like aluminum or anything like that. It is well built. It feels very sturdy, very heavy. There's some nice little rubber feet on the back here. You can see go all the way across the top and the bottom. And that does a few things. It helps to buffer the sound a little bit so it doesn't get as much reverberation when you're typing. And it also helps to keep it from moving. So I'm just going to show you how crazy this thing is. So there's a little bit of light pressure. Like this is barely budging. Like really barely budging. You can see the monitor is like, my monitors are freaking out. And this thing's not budging anywhere. So this is not going to slip and slide, which is great. A lot of plastic case keyboards sometimes can be a little bit on the lighter side, and it just doesn't feel as nice. So good job there. It does have a rotary knob at the top, and I will give you a warning, this thing scratches super easy. Comes with a little protective film, which is great. However, it's really hard to remove. I had to take a little bit of a little tool from my toolkit to try and scrape it off, and I ended up scratching it a little bit, but you can barely see it. Like, I don't even think it's going to really show on video because it is a little bit of a softer, high shine plastic. So just be aware when you get this, got to take that off and just be careful. Now, this is a TKL keyboard, which means you get a good compromise between the size, so you have a little bit extra room for your mouse pad, while also keeping a lot of the functionality of your keyboard. There are these two weird buttons up here, which are unique to this board specifically, and I'll get to these in a little bit because these are pretty important for what it does. Now, this is gasket mounted. Now, I'm going to show you exactly what that means. Now, if you're new to the keyboard space, that probably doesn't mean a lot to you, but what it means is there are little rubber stoppers underneath here. You can't see it here. What that does is it adds a little bit of rebound. So I'll show you here, actually here. Yoink. Now, if you can see how it bounces just a bit. And what that means practically is in your typical typing, you're not going to feel too much different there. It's going to feel pretty much the same. But in terms of the actual sound, you're going to remove a lot of the reverberation that you can get, especially like that hollow sound, since this is more of a plastic case keyboard. Sound test in a little bit, but I want to run through build and a couple of the features before I get there. Now, this does have a few things in it to actually add to the weight and also eliminate some of the empty space. So there's a polymer layer between the plate and the PCB, and underneath the PCB, between the actual bottom of the case and the bottom of the PCB, there's another layer of foam. So there's not a lot of hollow sound that you get from this keyboard, which is nice. And that added filling in the keyboard also increases the heftiness of this board. A lot of wireless keyboards, they don't have that stuff because the battery itself is pretty heavy. This is not wireless, yet it has the same weight that you would get from a wireless keyboard, which is nice, especially considering the completely plastic build. I normally like to open up my keyboards and show the internals and stuff. This is a clamshell type of build here. If you want to open this thing up, you're gonna be scratching it up and dinging it up pretty good. You're gonna need to pry something under here to lift that lid up and like forcefully pry it off. It's like a clamshell. So this is not a keyboard that I would recommend for the enthusiast crowd. This is more for someone who just wants to pick up a keyboard and it just works the way you want it to work right away. So that's what this is going to be good for. So practically speaking, good layout, clean look. If you took it to the office or something and you put this on your work desk, no one's going to look at you like a weirdo. And in terms of gaming, that is where this thing is just a little bit overkill. Now let's get to the functionality. This is running Cherry MX2A switches, and I'm going to be totally real with you as a dude who's tried lots of different switches. It doesn't really feel that different. Most people who have used Cherry red switches are not going to feel a significant difference. It's cool that they're updating their switches. They've changed how they build the spring as well as the stem. The overall build quality is improved, but most people aren't going to notice a difference. There is a little bit, just a little bit of wobble on these switches. It's not too bad. They are factory lubed, feel plenty smooth, nothing too crazy, but also not the type of switches where I would tell someone that you need to open these switches up and hand lube all of them. As a plus, this is also hot swappable. It will take 5 and 3 pin switches, so whatever you want to throw in here, you can. It does not take Hall effect switches, which is kind of the thing right now. So if you're in Hall effect, this is not the keyboard for that particular use. Does not mean it's not good though. Getting back to these switches up here. These are custom switches. They're proprietary to this keyboard. Now, as you can see, you hit the button and it will switch modes. This is office mode. This is your typical everyday workhorse. If you're just typing away, don't want to put a whole lot of load on your computer, I'm going to explain what that means. Leave it there. Runs at 1000 hertz and 10,000 scanning rate. Okay? Now, when you go here, you're going to bump that up to 8,000 hertz polling rate with a scanning rate of 35,000. So what that means is this keyboard in gaming mode will be reporting to the computer 8,000 times a second what the status of every key on this keyboard is. The scanning rate is the internal processing of this keyboard. So 35,000 times a second. This keyboard is internally checking all of these switches to see whether or not they are pressed. So, practically, what does that mean for you? Realistically, it's 8,000 times a second. This keyboard is going to be telling your computer what's going on. There is an on-paper difference. Realistically, not really. The bottleneck is the 8,000 hertz polling rate. Now, you also have to ask, can your computer handle it? Because a lot of even mice, like if you've got a mouse that goes up to 4,000 or 8,000 hertz polling rate, you can run into issues with your CPU and throttle it a bit. So that's just something to consider with this keyboard. And yeah, the snap tap SOCD function works flawlessly, works really, really responsively. If you've never used it, it feels weird. Like it's so responsive. With snap tap, with the SOCD, you just flail your fingers and you will be strafing like a pro. It's kind of crazy. But yeah, that's a very nice feature of this keyboard. So that combined with the crazy polling rate and scanning rate, as well as just the functionality of being able to swap back and forth. So that way, it's easy to go to your office mode so that you're not putting undue stress on your computer if you're not playing games. And then when it's time to be a try-hard, sweaty gamer, just go to gaming mode and you're already in 8,000 hertz polling rate with that 35,000 scanning rate. So who is this keyboard for? It is not for enthusiasts because you cannot open this keyboard. You cannot modify anything internally here. So if you're a finicky little keyboard enthusiast, this isn't really for you. Now, for 90% of everybody else who is not in that really finicky, I have to have the perfect sound for my keyboard demographic, this is probably going to hit all of the check marks that you could possibly have. Max performance, very practical with the layout, good build quality. It's not gonna be something that you're gonna need to do a lot of work to make it feel really nice. It comes out of the gate really good. Stabilizers on this thing all work great. I didn't have any issues. Maybe just the tiniest bit of like ticking sound on the space bar, but all the other stabilizers are fantastic. But as it comes, like, it's really pretty stinking solid. Now, this also has south-facing LEDs, so if you're a fan of cherry profile keycaps, this will not cause you any problems. Just a nice little benefit. Not a lot of gaming keyboards have that. It's been getting more popular, but it's nice to see. So if you're somebody who just wants a very practical, max-performing keyboard, and you're not into the idea of being super finicky with the Hall effect switches, and snap tap appeals to you, this is great. This comes in at $120 USD, and for something that is very usable for the office, for practical work, as well as, really frankly, in my opinion, maximizing gaming performance, this is fantastic. Now, the whole Hall effect thing, I like Hall effect, but Hall effect doesn't make or break a keyboard. It may for you, but you just kind of have to decide what your priorities are. And Hall effect switches, you can really only do linear switches right now. There's like more coming out, but it's just kind of all the same thing. You're just deciding if you want a different color or slightly smoother switches. With real mechanical switches like this, you could throw friggin' anything in here. Clicky, tactile, any kind of mechanical switch you can throw in here that you can imagine. And there's thousands of those suckers. There are too many mechanical switches available. If you really want to mess with different switches or you have a really particular one, you can't do that with Hall effect. You can only do that with mechanical keyboards. So just something to consider. But yeah, again, thank you, Pulsar, for sending this out. Really appreciate it. Really enjoyed this keyboard. It is going to be good for a pretty wide range of users. Anyone who likes to game, but also needs something that is very practical. This is an excellent choice. I would recommend this pretty easily at $120 for a keyboard that you don't have to mod. Just plug it in and start using it. You will be happy. But yeah, thank you guys so much for watching. I appreciate y'all being here. You guys take it easy. God bless, and I will see you on the next one. I will be doing a review on another Pulsar mouse pretty soon. I got the X2 V3 ES Mini. That is a mouthful, but I've been running that alongside this as well, and I really enjoyed that mouse. I think you guys will like it too. It is for a very particular demographic, but still pretty cool. All right, you guys take it easy, okay? God bless. Later.